सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Upadesa Sahasri, verse number 134, chapter 18. Adhyakshasyapi siddhi syat pramanena vinaibhava vina swasya prasiddhistu jnanam pratyupayujyate. There is a small correction in this second line. Instead of jnanam, better reading we can take nagnyam. Na plus ajnam, nagnyam. From 124th verse onwards up to 133, Shankaracharya had discussed Vidhimukha Vakyam Vicharaha. Vidhimukha Vakyam means positive revelation of the Adhyaksha or Atma or Sakshi. Positive revelation is called Vidhimukha Vakyam. There is another type of Vakyam called Nishedhamukha Vakyam. By negating everything, arriving at Brahman, Purvapakshi said, what is the necessity of Vidhimukha Vakyam? Why can't we manage with Nishedhamukha Vakyam? For that only up to 133 Shankaracharya established, if you take only Nishedhamukha Vakyam, you will end up in Shunyavada. Without taking to Vidhimukha Vakyam, making use of Nishedhamukha Vakyam, neti neti, like that, you will end up in Shunyavada or nihilism or voidness or emptiness. Even though Upanishads are using that negation Vakyams or Nishedhamukha Vakyams, they are all come under only Anga Vakyani. They are only supporting the Vidhimukha Vakyams. All Nishedhamukha Vakyams are there only to support the Vidhimukha Vakyani. This Vidhimukha Vakyams, the Pramanam. Vakyam is a Pramanam here. This Pramanam can be either Pratyaksha Pramana or Anumana Pramana or Shabda Pramana. There can be a difference in Pramana. Pramanas may vary, but Vidhimukha Vakyam is compulsory. Either you take Pratyaksha Pramanam or Shabda Pramanam or Anumana Pramanam or etc. any Pramanam, but it must be a Vidhimukha Vakyam. It has to substantiate the subject matter positively. That is the idea presented. Therefore, this Vidhimukha Vakyam is required. With this, the discussion of Vidhimukha Vakyam is over. Now Shankaracharya has entered a new topic from 134 onwards, which I introduced in the last class. What is the topic? Adhyaksha Siddhihi. Adhyakshasya Siddhihi. Here Adhyaksha word is used by Acharya by in the meaning of Sakshi or Atma. These are all synonyms. Now the question is, this Adhyaksha Siddhihi, substantiating Siddhihi means here knownness. How you know the Adhyaksha or the Sakshi or Atma? How you know or revelation of Atma, how it happens. That is called Siddhihi here. Overall meaning Siddhi is that Adhyaksha Siddhihi. Sakshi discussion based on previous doubt. Previous doubt was mentioned in the previous shloka. Sarva padarthanam siddhihi. We said vidhimukha vakyena sarva padarthanam siddhi. All objects can be revealed by only, known by only vidhimukha vakyam, we said. Now one may ask the question, all padarthas means, all means what? All or everything? Or there is an exception. Vidhimukha vakyam is required. Vidhimukha vakya pramanam. Vidhimukha pramana vakyam is necessary for all revelations or all objects to know any object, or it is only an exception. Exception of Atma. It is Atma is excluded from that. Is it only, you can say another way, is it anatma padarthanam, sarva anatma padarthanam vidhimukha pramanam is required, or Atma is also included in sarva padartha, if you ask. Either way we can take. Sarva padarthana means first we will introduce Atma is also included if you say sarva padarthana. Then another question, doubt will come. Atma happens to be swatasiddha. Nitya swatasiddhatvat. How can you say for Atma also vidhimukha pramanam is required? Atma swatasiddhatvat. You have to say Atma vitirikta padarthanam vidhimukha vakyam apekshate. You have to say like that. Person, opposition person is expecting. Sarva padarthana means you must exclude Atma. Atma is swatasiddham, self-evident. It need not be proved by, known by anything. For that Shankaracharya says, sarva padarthanam you have to say Atma vitirikta, or sarva anatma padarthanam vidhimukha pramanam is required, you should say. Shankaracharya saying Atma is nirvikaraha, Atma is it is not an object. Ajnana, even though Atma is Swarupam, Atma Vishayaka Ajnana Sattvat. Atma is also included, or Adhyaksha is also included in Vidhimukha Pramanam. You have to know the Adhyaksha also. What is that opposite person is asking Purvapakshi? Adhyaksha you exclude. Atma you exclude. Atma Vyatirikta you should use, or Anatma Padarthanam you use. But Shankaracharya says, I want to include Atma also, or Adhyaksha also. What is the reason? Everyone is Atma Swarupam only. Atma Vishayaka Ajnana Sattvat. Everyone is having Atma Vishayaka Ajnanam. Atma Vishayaka Ajnanam is there for everyone. Therefore what? Atma Vishayaka Ajnanam Sattvat. Atma Ajnana Nivrityartham Vidhimukha Avashyakam Bhavati. Since Atma, even though it is Swatasiddham, but everybody is having ignorance of their own Atman nature. Atma Ajnanam Nivrityartham, to remove the ignorance of Atma for one individual, Vidhimukha Vakyam is required. From 134 onwards up to 151, this is the topic. Now in this shloka 134, what Shankaracharya said? Vikalpa. There are three possibilities. Acharya introduced. Adhyakshasya api siddhihi syat pramanena va vina pramanena va. Adhyakshasya, to establish the establishment of Sakshi, is it through pramanam or vina? Va means or without pramanam. The establishment of Sakshi is with pramanam, with vidhimukha pramanam, or without vidhimukha pramanam. Atma is not evident from the standpoint of Ajnani. Ajnam prati Atmanaha Swatasiddhihi na bhavati. That is why in second line he says Swasya. Swasya means here Swasya Atmanaha. Atmanaha siddhihi pramanena bhavati va vina pramanena bhavati va iti samshayaha. For that second line, swasya vina swasya prasiddhihi, vina pramanena, vina means pramanena vina, swasya atmanaha, swasya atmanaha prasiddhihi or siddhihi, both are the same meaning. Siddhihi or prasiddhihi. Pra is upasarga, that's all. Prasiddhihi va or siddhihi va. Swasya atmanaha prasiddhihi agnam prati pramanena vina na prayujyate. For an ajnaha means ignorant person, even though Atma is Swatasiddham, for an ignorant person, that Swatasiddha Atma is not Siddham. It is not available for him, even though it is Swatasiddham. Therefore, without pramanam, Ajnam prati, with regard to the ignorant person, self-ignorant person, Ajnam prati, with regard to that self-ignorant person, Ajnam prati tu pramanena vina na upayujyate. Without pramana, that ignorance cannot be removed. Next verse. Up to here we saw in the last class. So, pramana vina na upayujyate. So, after pramanam, using pramanam only, one can get Atma Jnanam, one can remove Ajnanam. अज्ञाननिवृत्त्यर्थं विधिमुखप्रमाणम् आवश्यकं भवति स्वतःसिद्धत्वादपि आत्मा that person is ignorant of that self-evident Atma also. Therefore, now 135. Tasyaivagnyatvamishtam chet jnanatvenyamatir अन्यस्यैवाज्ञतायां च तद्विज्ञानं ध्रुवा भवेत् तस्मिन् तस्य एव ज्ञातत्वम् इष्टं चेत् तस्य एव means आत्मनः एव. If you accept for Atma ignorance, accept that jnatatvam means knownness. Jnatatvam means knownness or substantiating. If the consciousness or conscious self itself is taken to be ignorant, adhyakshasya eva person, adhyaksha swarupa siddha atma alone has got ignorance. If you take like that, an evidence is necessary in order, evidence is necessary. Pramane chet jnanatve anya matir bhavet. To substantiate or to know that adhyaksha, swatasiddha adhyaksha, you require matihi, anya matihi bhavet. Here matihi means jnanam. Anya matihi means other knowledge is required. To know this self-evident Atma, you require another knowledge. Jnanam is required to know Jnana Swarupam Atma. You require another Jnanam to know the Swarupa Jnanam of Atman. Very, very terse portion. Yes, we require. Jnanam is of two types. Swarupa Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam. Vidhimukha Vakyam provide Vritti Jnanam. Swarupa Jnanam cannot remove the ignorance of a person. Everyone is working because of Swarupa Jnanam only. But person doesn't know that he is a Swarupa Jnanam. Swarupa Jnanam means what? Original consciousness. Original consciousness, pure consciousness, and Shuddha Chaitanyam. Being a Shuddha Chaitanyam, pure consciousness, person is not able to claim that I am Shuddha Chaitanyam. Person is claiming I am a husband, I am a wife, I am a doctor, I am an engineer, etc., etc. Person is claiming that. Nobody is claiming I am Swarupa Jnanam Shuddha Chaitanyam iti. In spite of he is or she is a Swarupa Jnanam only, Shuddha Chaitanyam only. Atma by itself, by Swarupam, its nature itself is Jnana Swarupam. But that Swarupa Jnanam, Shuddha Chaitanya Atma is not removing his ignorance. And behaving because of that ignorance, doing adhyasa, erroneous perception, delusion, raga, shoka, moha, all are coming. That is why everyone being a Swarupa, Shuddha Chaitanyam, Swarupa Jnanam, everyone requires Vritti Jnanam. There is another Jnanam called Vritti Jnanam. That Vritti Jnanam is taking place, that process, by operating the Vidhimukha Vakyam. Vidhimukha Vakyam produce Vritti Jnanam. That Vritti Jnanam, second Jnanam, removes the ignorance of the first jnanam, that is Swarupa Jnanam. Very important statement. We have never done this statement in this manner. Listen once again. Vritti Jnana, what Purapakshi asking? I am self-evident Atma Adhyakshaha Swarupa Jnanam. Why I need Vidhimukha Vakyam? Pramana I have to use. What is our stand? Advaita Siddhanti says, unfortunately, person is not able to know that he is Shuddha Chaitanyam or Adhyakshaha. Therefore, for the revelation of Adhyaksha, that Sakshi or Atma, you need Vritti Jnanam. Vritti Jnanam take place in the thought process. The knowledge has to arise in the vritti, in the thought, that knowledge has to take place. That is called vritti jnanam. Aham brahmasmi is a vritti jnanam. That is vyavaharikam. Swarupa jnanam is paramarthikam. Even though that paramarthika swarupa jnanam is available, nobody is claiming that. Therefore, अन्यस्य एव अज्ञतायां च तद्विज्ञानं ध्रुवा भवेत्. Person says another jnanam is required. Yes, another jnanam, vritti jnanam is required. Anyasya means atmanaha anyasya. Person says, I can accept for ahankara it is required. Atmanaha anyasya means what? Anatma. What is anatma? Ahankara. Ahankara anatmasya agnatayam, because ahankara doesn't have knowledge. Ahankara is ajnaha. Ahankara ajnaha va, adhyakshaha ajnaha va. Ahankara only ajnaha, ignorant. Ajnatayam, ahankara has got ignorance. I can accept tad vijnane dhruva bhavet, matihi dhruva bhavet. Another jnanam is required, vritti jnanam is required for ahankara, to remove the ignorance which is in the ahankara. Ahankara is ignorant. How can be adhyaksha is ignorant? So that question if you ask, we said in previous verses also, Atma alone is ahankara dvara ajnaha iva bhavati. Atma alone ahankara dvara chidabhasa dvara ajnaha iva baddhaha iva bhavati tasmat muktaha iva bhavitavyam. Since Atma is as though ignorant, behaving, no, ignorant like only behaving everyone. Therefore, Atma requires which Atma? Ahankara dvara, which Atma is behaving like an Ajnaha. I told you, no, day before yesterday, Paramatma alone sitting as Jivatma in the class and listening hours together, weeks together, years together, decades together. Why? Because Ajnaha. Therefore, Ahankara dvara Ajnaha baddhaha muktaha api bhavati. That is why Adhyakshaha api vritti jnanam dvara Adhyakshaha swarupa jnanam Adhyakshasya swarupa jnanam jnatum shakyate. Not only ahankara, Adhyakshasya, the establishment of Sakshi is also because of vritti jnanam. It happens. Therefore, jnana swarupaha adhyakshaha vidhimukha pramana janya vritti gnanam apekshate. So gnana swarupaha, swarupa gnanam adhyakshaha, the adhyaksha sakshi chaitanyam, which is that of the nature of swarupa gnanam, that also needs vidhimukha pramanam, and vidhimukha pramana produced vritti gnanam. It requires vritti gnanam is required. Aham brahmasmi vritti gnanam is required through vidhimukha vakyam for adhyaksha rupa or gnana swarupa adhyaksha requires. Then only person claim I am Brahman. Vritti gnanam only, aham brahmasmi is vritti gnanam. Ajnana nivrityartham. Again, if you ask why do we require vritti gnanam, again same answer. Because first gnanam, that is swarupa gnanam, it will not remove that ignorance of a person. First gnanam, what is the first gnanam? Swarupa gnanam. I, the Atma, who am jnana swarupam by myself, since I do not know, therefore I require vritti gnanam. How the vritti gnanam can be generated? Through the mahavakya. Vidhimukha vakyam dwara pramanam has to function. How? Who will teach about that pramana? Guru. Guru will teach, because that atswarupa gnanam cannot remove ignorance of a person. So with swarupa gnanam, he cannot, with swarupa gnanam also he continues as ignorant person. With swarupa gnanam also, everyone has got swarupa gnanam. I am. Conscious of, everyone is conscious of. But he doesn't know that consciousness is Atma. Therefore, what Guru will become jobless otherwise. Everyone knows Vedanta is not required, Vedas are not required, teaching is not required, teacher is not required. Since everyone, even though they are Swarupa Jnanam, Atma Swarupam, since they have ignorance, they need Upanishads, Vedanta, Guru, teacher, class, etc. Zoom class also. Not enough of virtual classes. Let us have Zoom class and listening to the 4-5 classes. Fine. Ahankara, being Jadam, it is, it definitely needs knowledge. That is no doubt. Matihi dhruvam bhavet. This is called vidhiling. Dhruvam bhavet. Vidhiling means compulsory. It should be. Not it may be, no, it should be. This is the meaning of this shloka. Now we'll go to 136. Jnatata swatmalabho va siddhi syadanyadaivava anyadaivava. Sorry. Anyadevava jnatatvenantarokto tvam pakshau samsmartumarhasi. Now, let us, Shankaracharya says, Siddhi, we are talking Adhyaksha Siddhi. Let us analyze what is the meaning of Siddhi. 133, 134 and 135, the confusion with regard to the Siddhi word. Let us have some clarity, inquiry into the word Siddhi to get clarity. What is that? Shankaracharya give two possible messages for Siddhi. Two possible message or meanings we can take. Two possible meanings for Siddhi. What are those two possible meanings? Number one is Jnatata. Jnatata means knownness. Jnatata or Jnatatvam. Knownness. 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 That is known. Jnatatvam eva siddhihi. That is known means jnatam. Jnatata means knownness. Abstract noun. Bhava vyutpatti. Jnatatvam or jnatata. This is the first meaning. Knownness, that is known, that is to be known, knownness. Second meaning of Siddhi is Swatma Bhilasha. Swatma Labha. Not Abhilasha. Swatma Labha. Swatma Labha. Va means R. Jnatata Siddhihi va. Swatma Labha Siddhihi va. Tell me, which meaning we have to take? Siddhihi means Jnatata or Swatmalabha. If it means being known, that is Jnatatvena. If it is being known, if these two are, one more third option also he says, Siddhihi syat anyadeva va. Anyat eva va. Or third one. Third meaning, either knownness, jnatata, or swatmalabha. What do you mean by swatmalabha? Satta praptihi, existence, or janma, utpattihi, existence, coming to existence. Coming to existence is called Swatma Labhata. Swatma Labha. Janma also can be called as Swatma Labha. Utpatti also can be called as Swatma Labha. Or Janma, Utpatti, Satta Prapti. Becoming existence, coming to existence. Anyatva, third category. What is mean by Siddhi? Is there any other third meaning also for Siddhi that he is going to talk about in the after two verses? Third one. Jnatatve anantara uktau tvam anantara uktau tvam pakshaunar. Jnatatvena. Jnatatve means if it means being known. Jnatatve. Adhyaksha jnatatve, suppose you say that is to be known. What will happen? Antara adhyaksha jnatata ityartha. Jnatatve means adhyakshasya jnatata. Anantara uktau. Atita anantara uktau means you should remember. What you have to remember? Samsmartum arhasi dosha, what I said already in the immediate previous above shloka. Anantara uktau tvam. Pakshau, those two. What are those two pakshau? That explanation of you should remember other two views mentioned in the Atita Anantara, the immediate verses of above shlokas you have mentioned, that dosha will continue. Swatasiddhatvat adhyakshasya katham vidhi mukha pramanam prayujyate, that dosha I asked you, that will continue. You have to remember that dosha, what I said already. That is, knownness is the siddhi. That knownness should come for ajnani. And if you accept ajnani should get jnanam. Suppose you accept ajnani should get jnanam. Adhyaksha gets jnanam or ajnani gets jnanam. Ahankara alone, ahankara dwara adhyakshasya swarupa jnanam is covered. That is why adhyakshasya swarupa ajnanam nivrityartham ahankara dwara vritti jnanam apekshate. That is the meaning. Ajnani should get jnanam, you have to say. So, ajnani, knownness is the siddhi. What I want to say, that siddhi must come to only ajnani. And if you accept that, ajnani should get what? Jnanam. Ajnani has to get jnanam means what? Jnatatvam or jnatata. Jnatata means the object has to become jnatata. Ajnani should make an object, other objects to be known. That is the meaning. Indirectly is telling ajnani should make the objects, other objects to be known. So the object has to get the capacity, quality of jnatatvam, jnatata. This clip has got jnatata. I am ajnani of this clip. Now I have to give the jnatata status, jnatatvam status to this clip. Then only it become known to me. So it has to come into my perception. So ajnani of this clip must give the jnatatvam, knownness to the object. Then only I can know this object. Okay. Or you can say ajnani should give knownness to the other objects. Ajnani should give the knownness to the other objects. Whether you say Atma or Ahankara, the knownness is required. Ahankara, Atma is ignorant or Ahankara is ignorant is not the question. Here, knownness is important. Knownness will come only through Vidhi Mukha Pramanam is the topic. Whether Ahankara is ignorant or Atma is ignorant, Atma is as good as ignorant. Unknown Paramatma is Jivatma. Known Jivatma is Paramatma. I'll repeat what I said in the previous classes. Known known Jivatma is Paramatma. Enlightened Jivatma is Paramatma. Unenlightened, ignorant Paramatma is Jivatma. Okay, how Paramatma can be Jivatma? No, Jivatma sitting, no. Ignorant Jivatma is none other than Paramatma only. So, ignorant Paramatma, Jivatma. Okay, ignorant Paramatma alone is Jivatma. Paramatma is not ignorant. Jivatma is none other than ignorant Paramatma. Vidhimukha Pramanam is required. Jnatatve. If Siddhi is in the meaning of Jnatatvam, for Atma also, for Adhyaksha also, for Ajnani also, it is required. Jnatata. Jnatatvam is required. So this is one meaning. Jnatata or jnatatve anantara uktau tvam pakshau anantvam anantara uktau pakshau samsmartum arhasi. You have to remember what you have said. Pramana samsmartum arhasi. That doshas you have to remember. There is no dosha, but Purvapakshi looking at it as a dosha. Now another meaning of siddhi, if we see in 137, siddhi syat svatmalabhaschet yatnastatra nirarthakah sarvaloka prasiddhatvat swahetubhyastu vastunah. If this siddhi is in the meaning of svatmalabha, suppose you say, if siddhi are substantiating the knownness of adhyaksha or ahankara, the jnanam has to come to adhyaksha, or knownness has to come to adhyaksha or ahankara. If you are taking siddhi, two meanings. Jnatata is the Advaita Siddhanta. If it is Swatmalabha, if you say no pramanam is required. Swatmalabha means utpatti, janma. No pramanam can produce utpatti. No pramanam can produce an existence, cannot give an existence to an object. Utpatti is not possible by any pramana. Janma is not possible by any pramana. Or what is another meaning? Satta prapti. Pramana cannot give satta prapti, existence. What gives existence? He says Swatmalabha siddhi syat. If you take the second meaning of siddhi, yatraha tatra yatnaha nirarthakaha sarva loka prasiddhatvat. Tatra yatnaha, tatrahana with regard to the meaning of second meaning of satta prapti meaning for siddhi. Yatra means tatra means when you take the second meaning of siddhi, that is satta prapti or janma or utpatti, then it is well known that it cannot be produced by pramanam. Any pramanam, means of knowledge, nothing can be produced. Utpatti is not possible. Yatra okay, yatras tatra. He gave how to separate it. Na siddhi syat swatma labhaschet yatnaha. Yatna, that is nakara. Yatnaha means prayatnaha. Tatra yatnaha nirarthakaha. Nirarthaka means useless. There is no benefit of using that pramanam for swatmalabha is the meaning. Why? Sarvaloka prasiddhatvat. It is well known. Everyone knows. What everyone knows? Swahetubhyastu vastunaha. Vastu you can produce only by its hetu. For example, a pot is there. Pot needs what? You want to produce. Pot has to come into existence. Okay, pot has to come into existence, or satta prapti. Ghataha asti is called satta prapti. Ghata utpattihi va, ghata janmaha va, or ghatasya satta praptihi va pramanena na utpadyate. Katham utpadyate? Swahetubhyah. Swahetu means what? Clay is the hetu for pot. Clay you have to bring. Who will bring? You and I cannot bring. Only pot maker will bring. Intelligent cause is the one hetu. Material cause, clay, is another hetu. And many other instruments also. One stick, one wheel is required to produce a pot or to bring a pot into existence. When you take the meaning of siddhi as a satta prapti, siddhi meaning is utpatti. If siddhi meaning is janma, it cannot be produced by vidhi mukha pramana dwara, not required. Yatnaha nirardhakaha. Pramana vakyam, making use of pramana vakyam is useless. Why? Everyone knows means of knowledge cannot produce any object. You cannot give any satta to anything, production or birth to anything. What can give? Any table, you see, table needs wood, carpenter. Table can be produced by carpenter with wood. Pot can be produced by pot maker with clay. The production is possible only its hetu, its causes. If siddhi is in the meaning of swatmalabha, what we want to say, siddhi in the form of jnatata or jnatatvam, there you require vidhimukha pramana, not for swatmalabha meaning. So swahetubhyaha tu vastunah. Pot is a vastu, table is a vastu. Vastu has got its own, cloth is a vastu, it has got its own thread and weaver. That is the meaning of the second line. You see, sarvaloka prasiddhatvat swahetubhyaha tu vastunah. So vastunah tu vailakshanya dyotanartham. What is vailakshanyam? Jnatatvam or jnatata is different from utpatti or janma, because siddhi has got two meanings. Number one given in the 136. Now in 137, siddhihi syat swatmalabha chet yatnaha tatra nirardhakaha. Why na? Swahetubhyaha tu vastunah. Vastu is produced by satta prapti given by the pot maker. Ghata satta, ghataha asti, given by pot maker and clay. Cloth asti, given by the weaver and thread. Table asti, table has got existence. Carpenter and wood, not by vidhimukha pramana. Jnatata or jnatatvam, knownness cannot produce anything. That is the final meaning. Understood? It is fine. If not also, okay. Nothing you are missing. Okay. Second meaning, siddhihi. You have to complete the word by applying bhavati. Sarvaloka prasiddhatvat vastunah hetubhyaha swahetubhyaha siddhihi bhavati. That is the completion. Swahetubhyaha siddhihi bhavati vastunah. Jnatata, knownness, is the meaning we are taking here, not this meaning. Second meaning we should not take. Not only that, when you talk about Triputi also, in the next sloka he is going to say, in 138, in Triputi also, who talks about Triputi Jnata, Jnanam, Gneyam, Karta, Karma, Karanam. In Triputi also, Jnatata only discussed. Look into the 138. Now, um, two meanings of possible meanings of Siddhi is over in these two verses 136 and 137. Now in 138, so Siddhi cannot be the meaning of Utpatti here. That is the conclusion. What is the conclusion? During the context of Pramana Prameya Vichara Siddhi. So you have to do Anvaya like this. Swatmalabha Siddhihi chet tatra yatnaha nirarthakaha syat. Because स्वतःसिद्धत वस्तुनः स्वतःसिद्धत्वात् हेतुभ्यः भवति इति सर्वलोकप्रसिद्धत्वात्. अप्पा ओरे सेंटेंस. Now so ज्ञाततारूपसिद्धिः प्रमाणेन भवति. That is the conclusion. स्वात्मलाभरूपसिद्धिः स्वहेतुभ्यः भवति. ज्ञाततारूपसिद्धिः प्रमाणेन भवति. अतः now look into ज्ञानज्ञेयादिवादेतः सिद्धिर्ज्ञातत्वमुच्यते. अध्यक्ष्याध्यक्षयोः सिद्धिः ज्ञेयत्वं नात्मलाभता. Now he is consolidating that idea. Jnatata, knownness alone is the meaning you have to take. Jnanam gneyadi. Jnana gneyadi means jnata, you have to add adi padat. Jnanam, knowledge. Gneyam, prameyam, the known object. Jnata, the knower. Vadehe, the people who argue about the Triputi. Ataha, therefore. Ataha means what? Yataha, we have to supply whole sentence. Therefore, he says. Therefore means wherefore we have to ask. Yataha स्वात्मलाभस्य सिद्धिः प्रमाणेन न संभवति. ज्ञाततारूपसिद्धिः प्रमाणेन संभवति. स्वात्मलाभरूपसिद्धिः प्रमाणेन न संभवति. अतः I will translate. Sanskrit is nice but difficult to understand for some of you. I will explain the meaning. That is, since Swatmalabha is not accomplished, Utpatti is not accomplished by any pramana, therefore, Utpatti is not produced by any pramana, therefore, one reason, since Swatmalabha is not possible by pramanam, another is Jnatata Rupa Siddhihi alone is possible by pramanam. Two reasons. Knownness is possible by pramana. See, eyes knows, nose know the smell, ears know the smell, sounds, and tongue knows the taste. The knownness, they are called pramanam. Eyes are pramanam, nose is pramanam, ears are pramanam, tongue is pramanam. What for they are? They are for any production. You are making use of eyes for producing the pot or knowing the pot. Tell me simple, practical knowledge. Okay, you are using your eyes, looking at the pot. To create pot, you are looking at the pot or to know the pot. Are you knowing or creating the pot? By seeing the pot, you are not creating the pot. You are knowing the pot. You are making use of the chakshu pramanam. Okay. Is it hard or soft? Sparsha pramanam. Sparsha Indriyam knows it is hard, very, very hard. Okay, that Sparsha Pramanam, knowing, not creating the pot. Now you understand? அப்பா இப்போ ஈஸியாக இருக்க சுவாமினி என்ன ஞானம் ஞாதத்தா ஞாதத்துவம் ஸ்வத்மலாபன்னா இதுதான் ஓகே ஐஸ் cannot produce because eyes are pramanam pramanam can produce only gnatata knownness eyes are giving the knownness to the pot okay because eyes are pramanam so pramanam has to give so what knownness to the object so then pot can become known to me so the eyes has to give the knownness to the pot it makes the pot to be known then known pot is known pot is not created by eyes because eyes are pramanam that is the meaning gnatata or gnatattvarupa siddhihi pramanena sambhavati through eyes pramanam so vidhimukha vakyam is our pramanam shabda pramanam just I am giving the example swatmalabhata rupa siddhihi pramanena na sambhavati creating the pot can never be possible through the eyes or nose or ears or tongue only knowing is possible producing is not possible through the praman ataha therefore adhyaksha siddhihi adhyaksha gnatata siddhi means gnatata kam prati for whom it is agnyam prati that is why we said agnyam prati for an ignorant person atma has to be known katham how atma can be known atma will get the knownness for an ignorant person how pramanena ajnana nivritti gnatata prapti adhyakshasya swarupa gnanasya अज्ञान निवृत्ति प्रमाणेन ज्ञातता प्राप्ति अध्यक्षस्य ignorance of swarupa jnanam of an individual is possible only through vidhimukha pramana that is called jnatata knownness of that I am adhyakshaha I am Sakshi Chaitanyam. This is possible. When it is Atma topic, you have to take only Adhyakshaha, Sakshi, the subject. You have to take. That is why Adhyakshasya Adhyakshayoh. Adhyaksha means Sakshyam, Anatma. Adhyakshayoh means Sakshi. Witness and witnessed siddhihi gneyatvam na atmalabhata it is not atmalabha but it is gneyatvam it is our gnatata this is advaita siddhanta next shloka 139 spashtatvam karma kartradi siddhita yadi kalpyate स्पष्टता स्पष्टते स्यात्ताम् अन्यस्यैव न चात्मनः now Shankaracharya introducing Purvamimamsaka also some people talk about karma kartradi karma means object karta means subject adipadat karanam Karta, karma, karanam. Yajamana of yaga is karta. Yaga is karma. Vaidika ritual if you take. Or any other thing. The person who is the pot maker is the karta. Pot is karma, object. Karanam and what are all used for that. Triputi is there. Karta, karma, karanam, doer, doing, and done, whatever. Spashta, spashtatvam. Clearly you can know Triputi, siddhita, siddhihi, siddhita, yedi kalpyate. If you infer, kalpyate means if you want to say that with regard to Atma, there is no question of spashtata or aspashtata. That comes only with regard to Karma Kanda. It is clear or not, only with regard to Karma Kanda, Karta, Karma, Karanam, not with regard to Atma. Atmanaha nasya asya atmanaha na eva syat. स्पष्टता अस्पष्टते स्पष्टता च अस्पष्टता च तौ स्पष्टास्पष्टते स्यात् स्याताम् अन्यस्य एव. Other than Atma, Spashta and Aspashta are possible. With regard to Atma, there is no Spashta Atma or Aspashta Atma. More details in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.